first question, why is microfinancing relevant to Philippines?
Okay. Actually, majority, 75% of the Filipinos, particularly the population in the Philippines, are suffering from extreme poverty. So here in the Philippines, we have a big gap between the rich and the poor. And microfinance is an intervention for bottom 50% poor in our society. So therefore, 75% are really needing microfinance, meaning access to small loans with small frequent repayment. Yun ang philosophy ng microfinance.
Microfinancing. What is your mission in providing microfinancing solutions?
The mission is first of all to empower the particularly poor women, because based on the statistics, the poor women have no access to capital particularly in their homes, and the mission is to uplift their dignity, particularly women in the Philippines, to have access to small loans in terms of their livelihood and microenterprises. Secondly, to discover their God-given dignity. Dignity meaning they have some kind of ability to manage resources. And thirdly, to be able to at least generate employment when they cross that bridge of poverty in the community. So more, first, economic access to economic activities. Second, to uplift their dignity in terms of giving them power to make decisions over their economic resources. And thirdly, to provide and generate employment around their community. Hopefully, that's the vision.
Having said your mission, ma'am, what is the story of Ahon sa Hirap Foundation? When was it established?
Yeah. Actually, it was an inspiration from the Grameen Bank in Bangladesh. It started as a social research project in the University of the Philippines, Los Baños. During the time of the Koryo administration, we were really looking at the intervention of a model, a business model that can cater to the bottom 50%. With the Koryo administration, he opened up possibilities for civil society to open a methodology for women. Because at that particular time, in 1986, the cooperative movement had been opened for access to savings, then access to loans. Then a social research project was conducted. Now this time, an intervention to the women. Because microfinance starts with both savings and loans. Cooperative started with savings first, then loans. And then segmentation of market. The bottom poor women at that time need some kind of a model that can provide access to economic resources, and then at the same time taking care of their children. So no business model at that moment. So in 1989, we started with 50 women and one group of men.
I'm sorry, no, that was
1989.
1989. So you started in 1989.
Yeah, 1989 to 1991 social research project. Then 1991, during 89 to 1991, we have proven that with these 50 women, they can have very good access, and we concluded that the experiment will not just be an experiment, but be a full-fledged NGO in 1991. So social research 86 to 91, the 91 NGO.
Oh, yeah. So you've been into existence for almost 2 decades now.
2 decades, yes.
So
yes. 22 years.
Yes, oh nga ma'am, 22 years to be exact, no?
Yeah.
So what are the accomplishments of the organization?
Yeah. We started with 50. Now we are catering to 24,000 women. So, and we use the Grameen methodology as an intervention to poverty alleviation. With those achievements, the first achievement is looking at the repayment capacity of women, bottom 50% women. So we concluded that women giving access to small loans can generate good repayment. So we suffered crisis in repayment in 1991 to 1994. That was really a big blow. Why? We are the first microfinance in the Philippines. So therefore, we started it all. So there's no point by which we can have a model to follow
Yes.
through except Bangladesh. So that's why the big accomplishment is to rise from that crisis, to learn that continuous funding is an essential element. That's why in 1994, when we had the crisis, we said we want to really make a proposal that our women can repay. So one is portfolio quality. That is really a big achievement. From the crisis of 65% portfolio at risk to now 100% repayment and in only single-digit portfolio at risk. We have a 98%, I would call it, as a repayment for our through the years after 1994.
Okay. So, does that mean that your major problem, the major problem that you've encountered is when it comes to collection?
Yes, collection. Why? Because not because they cannot pay, but because they are not sure of having another loan at that particular moment because of lack of funding. And then the second element is the focus. I would say that the bottom 50% can be given access. Once they were given access to capital, they generate. So right now, I would say that among 24,000 women, 5% of them had risen from a small livelihood to micro enterprises. We have actually many success stories that she started with only 2,000 in the beginning. Now she has her own photography.
Wow.
And we were able to give her 200,000. And then from a small dressmaking shop, now she can have a big shop. And last year, we were able to give 200,000 to one of our members who started 2,000 from 2000 in 1991. Then we brought 3 women to Belgium
Wow.
to be awarded Women Entrepreneur Award, which generated how she was able to give access to employment and how she was given credit to herself and her family. She was able to provide education for their children.
Actually, ma'am, I was about to tell you to give us some examples of success stories, but since you've mentioned that already, thank you. And, I've been observing that most of your clients are women.
Yes, 100%.
Why is that?
Why women?
Why women? Because even other microfinancing organizations that I've already interviewed at, puro women ang kliyente. Nanay. We call them nanay pa. Bakit po?
Yeah. Actually, in the experiment, because we started it all, in the experiment, we have one group of men, five men, and 5 groups of women. We realized that, first of all, the discipline of repayment.
Okay.
Why? Close to the heart of a woman is the budget in the home. When a child goes to school, they go to the mother.
That's true.
For her baon, for everything, for tuition. And the women is the one budgeting how much of the resources I have from my husband will go to this, go to this. And many times, if it is short, she is the one looking for remedies. So why not give her access so that at least she can augment the income of her husband in terms of the family? And second, the discipline of coming to the center meeting to discuss many of the women's problems like reproductive health, nutrition for the family, the food that they have to take. Because microfinancing started not only access to financial, but also to social development program that can help the women manage the home, the nutrition, the reproductive health, the decision making in the house, So that's really what microfinance bring. So women, actually the men would not like this conclusion, exact verbatim from the experiment. Women pays better than men.
Okay.
Why?
They are more disciplined then.
They're more disciplined and they are more using the utilization of the loan because of the dedication of women to the family. They utilize the loan 100% for where it should be. The men sometimes use have vices,
Yes.
and they misutilize the loan. So in terms of generating impact for the loan is more of the women issue than men. And the other thing that we have concluded from the experiment, small loans are not for men,
Okay.
but big loans are for men.
Oh.
Why?
Why is that?
Why is that? They would like to manage bigger loan capital than women. But for women, even if you give small, they can have barbecue business, vending. You can see not men selling fish or selling vegetable.
Oh.
There are very few. But with big businesses that is manages big volume, it's for men. So that's why this is also a study when we had our impact evaluation that for single loan or small loans, men do not participate. But once it gets to a bigger loan, men already participates. So that was the conclusion even on the experiment that we have conducted. That's why we said, okay, because we are going to give small loans and because budgeting and children's needs are for women, we might have to give them access first. Then as they grow, invite the men to be involved in the family business.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, yung pala yun kung bakit puro babae. So, how many members do you have right now, ma'am?
24,000.
24,000. That is
Women.
all over...
Or over, we have operations in Muntinlupa, Laguna, Rizal, South Metro, including all of the southern Tagalog region, and the whole province of Antique, and Aklan.
Oh, ang dami na, no, ma'am? So,
22 branches.
22 branches. So, when it comes to collection of payment, how do you collect payment from them dun sa mga nasa provinces?
Okay. Actually, if you are familiar with the Grameen methodology, the Grameen methodology creates groups of women, one group composing of 5, and they are housed in a center. The center has 8 groups. So the principle of Grameen banking is that we bring the bank at the doorstep of the poor, meaning that the bank is brought to the villages. So the bank is brought to the center hall. So therefore, the collections is done at the center.
Okay.
And then the branch, the collections are grouped, 8 groups of women are meeting together every week.
Okay.
So the remaining payment is every week.
So every week then, ma'am, just like the others.
Like the others.
So what do you think this Ahon sa Hirap has to improve pa?
In terms of one of the things that we need to improve is methodology for hard to reach area. Hard to reach meaning you've got to walk for a mile to get to the hard to reach. And sometimes the methodology of microfinance in its whole, like for example, small loans is really for the rural areas, but not for the Mangyans, for the indigenous peoples, where they are culturally not having the culture of selling, but they are in the culture where they are a very close village. And how can you give them money? So these are really the business model that we are still trying to design for them. Because for the poorest of the poor rural women, we already have designed this methodology for 22 years, but the hard to reach. We need to live in the community to discover how can they have access to economic capital.
Most probably that's one reason why you're always out.
Yes, yes. And one of the things that I am discovering, for example, I just came yesterday sa Antique, and there's a hard to reach area. You know, they don't like loans. they are afraid to borrow
because
they don't know how to manage their business. What is the business? Even 2,000 they don't like. That means we might have to have an intervention where we have to teach them first to plan and teach them savings before we can give them a loan. And then the other one that is a challenge is agriculture. You know very well that farmers have this tendency that one day millionaire. The repayment discipline is not with them. So I was just meeting with our group for agriculture. We have agricultural Grameen program. We would like to really see in kind, giving them seeds first, and then combine the loan with the in kind and in cash. So that's why we need to discover a methodology for agricultural microfinance. Yeah. So that's a big challenge.
I was surprised to know about that naman na even 2,000 they don't want to borrow because
for the
they don't know
indigenous
how to
peoples.
use it.
Yes.
So what does your organization differentiates from the other?
From the others, okay.
Yes.
The target group. I'm very sure of that because I've been teaching basic microfinance courses. Our target is 50% bottom poor. That means with the national statistics survey that they have no houses, no asset, nothing to put as a collateral. Because these are non-collateralized loans. And the income bracket is 50%. For example, you have an income of 5,000 in a poor household. We target 50%. So the income in the household should be at least 2,500. So you would imagine the housing condition. They have dilapidated houses, flimsy materials of the house. The children are not eating. But they are not the indigent, meaning they are not the beggars.
Yeah.
But they have something that they have is the survival skill. So we give them access. That's how we are different. I know that I just came from a course in all the Visayas rural banks that are doing microfinance. How can you do that? And I said to them, if you give a poor woman access to small loans with small frequent repayment, she will value it. So we saw a woman that are just selling very small kakanin, the puto every morning. Only 3 pieces of puto. And we met her.
Only 3 pieces of puto for the whole day
For the whole day na yan,
Okay.
Only 3 packs of 3 pieces. Then we said, would you like to join the group of women? Then we visit them through motivation. Then we saw her house. She has only 3 pieces of furniture. The floor is really no cement and no CR. And only every day she sells. Then she joined the group. I visited her last year when she joined, and now I visited her again. We have given her access. I'm about there because I just met her. She has now having her stall of puto in her house. And because for the first loan, we gave them at least 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000. Now she has a loan of 10,000. After a year, she has already her own stall. She makes her own puto. And because on her second loan, we give them access to house repair. Now her house is already repaired. And she was really crying. Without access to this kind of capital for this kind of target group, they have no dignity. And now they can. Now her dream is to send her children, because on her third loan, she was able to get educational loan. So from the earnings of her puto, because our loans are longer repayment, that's also one difference. Many loans now are 3 months to pay. Ours is 50 weeks.
50 weeks, that's how many years? 2 years. No, 50 weeks is...
It's one year.
1 year.
And we have also a loan of 100 weeks, 2 years.
2 years.
So that means every week she can only pay 120. And sometimes for 2,000 you can only pay 50. For the rural areas. In the Manila, in southern part, our minimum loan is 5,000. But if you want to get a loan lower than that, you're welcome. So these are really part of the radical stand of ASHI, that we believe that giving access to 50% income group, they can start small, and they can small payment every week, they can have access to more capital. So we provide them education na loan, 25 weeks to pay, 6 months, and then we provide them house repair payable in 100 weeks, 2 years. So it's really not very easy, very hard to pay. That's why we can, the more we are after is your dignity. Don't borrow beyond your capacity to pay. So it's evolved on the five foundation of the group. Sipag, tiyaga, pagkakaisa, disiplina, at lakas ng loob.
Yeah, yun yung naman, yung lakas ng loob.
Lakas ng
Miss
loob.
Mila, you've been helping so many people already.
Yeah.
Diba? How does it feel? Is it overwhelming? Kanina teary-eyed ka na when you were stating this example. Yeah. So, how do you feel?
Actually, that's why I love field work. Because whenever you visit every year, because when we start, I want to make sure that they are the right target. And you know, if you see them from where they are, you know, when we started in Antique, because I said I wanted to go to the hard to reach, the poorest region in Panay. I really visited them myself. And now, after 15 years, 18 years in a region, they have big houses. That's your reward, you know. That's your achievement. And before, can I go to your toilet? Mom, I'm very sorry, we have no toilet. So we just have to go to the barangay to go to the toilet because it's far, far away. Now we said, Mom, you can come to our toilet.
Wow.
We have our toilet. We are a very nice bathroom. Look at our house. It's now tiles. Now you look at this kind of reward. Yeah, I've been in the board of ASHI 1992, and up until now, I'm always recharged. And it's very, very nice to see impact. I think that's what we are. Even our staff, the impact from before and after, seeing it.
That's why when people see you, always have this smile on your face.
Yeah.
And magaang sa dibdib mo. Maganda. Yung may aura na pag nakita mo yung tao, maganda.
Masaya.
So, how did you come up with Ahon sa Hirap? So, among any other names, why Ahon sa Hirap?
It goes with our logo. Our logo, sorry,
It's okay.
I want to show the logo of ASHI. The logo is an arrow going up.
Yes.
So you can download also the logo from our website. You can see it, www.ashi.org. The logo symbolizes rising up from poverty. So that's why to rise above poverty. So it's Ahon, meaning you going out of poverty is a step at a time. Like Ahon, you have to have the energy to go up the ladder a step at a time. So this also connotes the methodology that to rise above poverty is not overnight. It takes one step at a time, like Ahon sa Hirap. And it's in the logo also that you have to be with your group. To Ahon sa Hirap requires group, requires togetherness, requires unity. And we are housing them in one house for them to have a home and a family that will rise above together with your family. Because our vision is that to give access to all the women, bottom 50% women and their families, to discover God-given dignity towards rising above poverty. So that's
very well said. Okay, ma'am, I'm down to my last question. So, what are your future plans for the organizations when it comes to products and services?
Actually, one product that we want to develop is our agricultural microfinance. and then methodology for hard-to-reach areas. We have already included, because we have a target group, women, but we want to also target the marginalized communities, women in marginalized sector. So we have this ambition to open a program for those marginalized, for the disabled, for those hard to reach, the indigenous people. We also wanted to see possibilities of those getting out from prison, like correctional, to give them access for re-entry to the community. So this is really something in this year, we just have started to brainstorm who are our target group. We want to go back to what is our basic ambition, for them to give access to the people without access. So we want to define that. So we want also, of course, this is subject to the consensus, but the whole staff of ASHI wants to recommend to look at the beggars,
Okay.
and to look at those in the prison. So we would like to really create a research unit for discovering products and services for them. So
Okay.
decide.
Just a follow-up question. Do you
Yes.
think technology can help you achieve your goals in the future?
Yes, yes.
How can it help?
Actually, this is something that by the way, in addition, talking about technology,
All right.
we also would like to improve on our micro-enterprise development
Okay.
through internet
Yes.
linkages.
Mhm.
So we have a partner, Insul Development Foundation, doing the business development for those who are crossing already at the higher level. So we need to think of those in the higher level, from that have risen from poverty,
Okay.
that can now have access to micro-enterprise loan. So one of the things that the technology can help, we have partnered with them in discovering education for them through internet.
Okay.
So we have already designed business planning for them through database.
Mhm.
There's a business plan model that they can now input their projection, cash flow,
Yes.
and they're now into that using the technology. The other things also that we want this particular sector in micro-enterprise is the interactive learning from different parts through internet connection and chat and Skype and Facebook. The other one on the bottom poor that we are going to target, technology can help us in relation to this Skype conversation
Yeah.
regarding success and best practices. In fact, I have been involved in discussing evolution for hard to reach areas. So monthly we have a model that we are discussing how they did it, and then in educating our staff, we plan to look at this and have education on how this can be. Unlike before, you just read books.
Yes.
Now we can have a Skype conversation, and then the video conferencing. We are now using it to discover best practices. And now, also in automation, because we are now putting the whole methodology, the entire system in automation.
Yes.
So we are now looking at it in the full automation of the entire system. We have now put from MIS department to information and technology department, the web design and all the other mobile banking. We're going to use that maximum at the maximum level.
Okay, that's
Yes, yes.
that's good to know. Okay, ma'am. Any last message? Any message to your clientele, to people who would want to enter microfinancing?
Yeah. Actually, if you want, this is always what I wanted to say. Our theme this year is client-centered. So I'd like to really make this as a parting words. Those who would like to enter microfinance, please don't start just because you wanted to have a business for profit, for yourself. Enter microfinance with a passion to listen to the target group. This is an issue For example, because microfinance had gone into the way that if you want to be earning, you go to microfinance because there is money in microfinance. But look at the Philippines, where we are at. The increasing poverty is every day increasing. The access to capital is decreasing, particularly reasonable interest rate, because microfinance had been a business. Don't enter if that's your motivation. Enter if you want the poor women or poor families, whether men and women, can have access to small loans with small frequent repayment, not for profit. But you can be profitable, but not at the expense of the client. To create a product that is relevant to them. Not for yourself, but to alleviate poverty. Really, really. Yeah.
Thank you, Miss Mila. Ha? That's it for our interview. So thank you so much.